March 6, 1944, 23,000 feet over Germany. A B-17 flying fortress named Hell's Fury pushed deep into enemy airspace, and in the tail gun position, Staff Sergeant Michael Donovan watched 12 Messerschmitt Bf-109s form up for attack. Everything he'd been taught said wait, conserve ammunition, fire defensively. Donovan had different plans. In the next 4 minutes, 12 German fighters fell from the sky, 0 American casualties, and every bomber gunner in the 8th Air Force learned that defense was no longer the answer. This is the story of how one man's refusal to play by the rules rewrote aerial combat doctrine forever. Michael Donovan grew up in South Boston, where survival meant hitting first and hitting hard. His father worked the docks, his older brother boxed Golden Gloves, and Mike learned early that waiting gets you hurt. By 17, he'd been in 32 street fights and lost 4. When Pearl Harbor happened, Donovan enlisted in the Army Air Forces. They wanted him for ground crew. He insisted on gunnery school. The instructor called him too aggressive, too reckless, too willing to expose himself to return fire. Donovan's response became legend at the school. Dead gunners don't shoot back, live ones do. He graduated 3rd in his class, not because of accuracy, but because of speed. Donovan could acquire targets faster than anyone they'd ever trained. His secret was simple. He didn't wait for fighters to enter his firing zone. He hunted them before they got there. March 1944, Donovan transferred to the 390th Bombardment Group at Framlingham, England. His B-17, Hell's Fury, already had a reputation. 3 missions, 2 catastrophic encounters with German fighters. The previous tail gunner, Sergeant Eddie Morrison, survived but requested immediate transfer. He told the crew chief that position was cursed, that the next man would die there. Donovan volunteered immediately. The pilot, Captain James Whitmore, interviewed him personally. You know the statistics? Tail gunner position has the highest casualty rate. 38% don't finish their tour. Donovan's response was ice cold. Then I've got 62% odds. I'll take them. Whitmore asked why. Because I don't wait for them to shoot me, Donovan said. I shoot first. Whitmore studied him, then nodded. You're insane, he said. You'll fit right in. Donovan's first mission came March 2, 1944. Target, ball bearing factory at Schweinfurt. He shot down 1 Bf-109, damaged 2 more. But what caught attention wasn't his kills, it was his method. Standard tail gunner tactics involved defensive fire. Wait for fighters to commit to attack runs. Open fire when they entered effective range. Conserve ammunition, protect the aircraft. Donovan did the opposite. He fired bursts at fighters still forming up, forced them to break formation early, wasted ammunition on targets at extreme range. His logic was brutal and simple. 1 burst at 800 yards costs 20 rounds, but 1 fighter breaking attack pattern saves 10,000 pounds of aircraft and 9 lives. The math worked. His second mission, March 4th, Donovan experimented further. When Bf-109s began their attack run, he didn't track the lead fighter. He targeted the wingman, the one not expecting return fire yet, the one flying predictable patterns to maintain formation. The wingman exploded. The lead fighter, suddenly alone, broke off immediately. The entire attack disintegrated. But Donovan wasn't satisfied. He'd prevented attacks, disrupted formations, but he hadn't maximized effectiveness. That night in the barracks, he studied German fighter tactics, how they approached, where they positioned, what they expected. German fighters attacked bombers in coordinated waves. Standard pattern: 4 to 6 fighters in echelon formation, approaching from stern quarter high. Lead fighter drew defensive fire, while the wingman exploited the gunner's focus on the primary threat. Standard American response: track the lead threat, engage when certain of hits, conserve ammunition for multiple attacks. Donovan saw the fatal flaw. American gunners reacted. Germans dictated. The initiative belonged to the attacker. Every defensive doctrine assumed the enemy controlled timing. But what if you reversed it? What if you attacked first? What if you forced the enemy to react to you? That question would change everything. March 6, 1944. Pre-mission briefing. Target: aircraft factory at Augsburg. 800 B-17s. 2,500 German fighters expected. Intelligence predicted heavy losses. Whitmore gathered his crew with a simple message: stay sharp, stay alive. Donovan raised his hand. Permission to try something different, sir? Whitmore asked what? Aggressive fire, Donovan said. I want to engage fighters before they commit to attack runs. Force them to defend before they attack. Whitmore frowned. That burns ammunition. You'll be dry before the real fight starts. Or I'll prevent the real fight, Donovan replied. Sir, we've been playing defense for 2 years. How's that working? 38% tail gunner casualty rate. Maybe it's time we stopped waiting to get shot. The pilot considered, then nodded. You've got one mission to prove it. If we get shredded, you're off the gun. They took off at 0647 hours. Formation assembly over East Anglia, climbed to altitude, crossed the channel, entered German airspace at 0824. The routine felt mechanical until the call came at 0919. Fighters, 6 o'clock high, 12 bandits. Donovan swiveled his twin 50s. 12 BF 109s, 2,000 yards out, forming up for coordinated attack. Standard response. Wait until they commit, then engage the lead fighter. Donovan did neither. He opened fire immediately at 2,000 yards, maximum range, low probability hits. The tracers arced through empty sky. Most missed by hundreds of feet, but the effect was immediate. The German formation scattered. Lead fighter broke right. Wingmen hesitated. The attack pattern disintegrated before it started. Whitmore's voice crackled over the intercom. Cease fire, you're wasting ammunition. Negative, sir, Donovan replied. Watch what happens next. The German fighters regrouped, but now they approached cautiously. Not the aggressive diving attack pattern they'd planned, but hesitant, probing. The initiative had shifted. Donovan tracked the new lead fighter, waited until 1,500 yards, then opened fire again. Short controlled bursts, not aiming to hit, aiming to intimidate. It worked. The formation broke again. But 1 BF, 109, the wingman on the left, maintained course. Aggressive pilot, experienced, wouldn't be intimidated. Donovan recognized the type immediately. He let the fighter close. 1,400 yards, 1,200, 1,100, 1,000. Now the fighter filled his sights. Donovan fired. Not a burst, a sustained barrage. 200 rounds in 3 seconds. The concentration of fire was overwhelming. The BF 109 tried to brake, but flew directly into the stream of tracers. The engine exploded, the aircraft disintegrated, pieces tumbling earthward. Good kill, the radio operator's voice confirmed. But Donovan wasn't celebrating. He was already tracking the next target. The remaining 11 fighters regrouped. Now they knew the tail position was dangerous. They'd adjust tactics, come from different angles, split his attention. Donovan expected this. When the fighters split into 2 groups, 6 attacking from 6 o'clock, 5 from 7 o'clock, he didn't try to engage both. He focused everything on the 6 o'clock group, ignored the 7 o'clock threat completely. Waist gunners took the peripheral threats while Donovan concentrated on his sector. 6 fighters diving toward them. He picked the lead aircraft, fired, hit. The fighter exploded. The remaining 5 broke formation momentarily. Donovan immediately shifted to the new lead fighter, fired again, another hit, another explosion. In 30 seconds, 3 BF 109s fell. The remaining 9 fighters broke off completely. Not retreating to reposition for another attack, but full retreat, fleeing from a single tail gun position. But it wasn't over yet. 15 minutes later, they returned. This time 18 fighters, a full staffel. They'd seen what happened to the first group and came prepared. They attacked from multiple vectors simultaneously. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Overwhelming firepower from every stern quarter. Donovan chose violence. He ignored the 4 and 5 o'clock attackers, let the waist and ball gunners handle them, focused everything on the 6 o'clock direct stern attack. 6 BF 109s dove straight at Hell's Fury's tail. Donovan locked his guns on the lead fighter and opened fire at 1,200 yards. The closing speed was 400 knots. That gave him exactly 7 seconds before the German reached firing position. He used all 7, walking tracers directly into the lead fighter's flight path. At 800 yards, his rounds found metal. The canopy shattered, the aircraft rolled inverted and fell. 5 remaining, now 400 yards away, 3 seconds to impact. Donovan shifted to the next fighter with pure instinct, fired where the target would be in 2 seconds, not where it was. The second BF 109 flew directly into the stream of bullets. The engine exploded in orange flame. Debris scattered across the sky. The 3 remaining fighters broke formation immediately, full defensive maneuvers, fleeing from a single gun position. The formation continued toward Augsburg. German fighters regrouped at a distance, 12 aircraft remaining from the original 18. They'd learned their lesson. Direct stern attacks cost too much. They needed different tactics. What came next surprised everyone. The German fighters didn't attack. They shadowed the bomber formation, stayed just outside gun range, waited. Whitmore recognized the pattern immediately. They're calling in reinforcements. We're about to get hit by everything they've got. 10 minutes later, radar picked up new contacts. 36 fighters, a full group, 3 Staffels of Bf-109s and FW-190s. Combined with the 12 already shadowing them, Hell's Fury faced 48 enemy fighters. Standard procedure: radio for fighter escort, tighten formation with nearby bombers, maximize overlapping defensive fire. But Hell's Fury had drifted from formation during earlier attacks. The nearest friendly bomber was 3 miles away, no escorts in range. They were alone. Donovan checked his ammunition. 380 rounds against 48 fighters. The math didn't work unless he changed the equation. "Captain," Donovan called over the intercom. "Permission to try something." Whitmore asked what. "Attack," Donovan said. Silence. Then Whitmore's voice, carefully controlled. "Explain." "Those fighters are forming up for coordinated assault," Donovan said. "Give them 2 minutes and they'll hit us from every angle simultaneously. We can't defend against that, but we can disrupt it. If I engage while they're still organizing, I can force them to scatter before they're ready." Whitmore's response was blunt. "You'll be out of ammunition in 30 seconds. "Then I better make them count," Donovan replied. "Sir, defensive tactics don't work when you're outnumbered 20-1. Our only chance is aggressive action while they're still vulnerable." Whitmore considered for 3 seconds. "Do it. If you get us killed, I'm writing your family a very angry letter." Donovan didn't waste time responding. The German formation was 2,000 yards out, still organizing. Lead elements establishing attack vectors, trailing elements moving into support positions. Perfect vulnerability. Donovan opened fire. Not short controlled bursts, not suppressive fire. Maximum sustained barrage. He poured 200 rounds into the formation center in 8 seconds, not targeting specific aircraft, but targeting the space where coordination happened. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Tracers crossed through the formation's core. 1 Bf-109 caught fire and spiraled down. 2 others collided trying to evade. The entire formation disintegrated into chaos. 48 fighters scattered in every direction, no coordination, no attack plan, just individual aircraft trying to survive. Whitmore didn't finish his sentence over the intercom. He didn't need to. Everyone saw it. One tail gunner with a suicidal attack run had just broken up the largest fighter assault any of them had witnessed. But Donovan knew the truth. He'd bought them time, maybe 2 minutes, maybe less. The Germans would regroup angry and aggressive. And he had 180 rounds left. The German fighters regrouped faster than expected, 90 seconds. This time, they didn't bother with coordinated tactics. They swarmed. 12 fighters dove from 6 o'clock simultaneously, no formation, no strategy, just overwhelming violence. Donovan picked his targets carefully, not the closest fighters, not the most aggressive, but the middle of the swarm, the psychological center where the pack's courage came from. He fired 30-round bursts into 3 consecutive aircraft. All 3 took hits. 1 exploded, 2 broke off trailing smoke. The remaining 9 continued their attack run, now within 400 yards. Cannon fire lit up the sky. 20mm rounds streaked past Hell's Fury's tail section. Some connected. Metal shrieked. The aircraft shuddered, but Donovan kept firing with mechanical precision. Another Bf-109 fell, then another. 5 remaining at 200 yards, point-blank range. Donovan could see the pilots' faces, young men, determined, professional. He shot them anyway. 2 more fighters exploded. 3 left at 100 yards. The survivors broke off. Too close now. Risk of collision exceeded reward of the kill. Donovan tracked 1 last fighter, squeezed the trigger. Nothing. The guns were dry. "I'm out," Donovan called over the intercom. "Dry on all guns." Whitmore responded immediately. Damage report. Anyone hit? The crew checked in. Ball turret took minor damage. Rudder showed stress fractures, but everyone was alive. All systems functional. Hell's Fury could still fly, could still fight, just without her tail guns. The German fighters knew it. They regrouped one final time. 27 aircraft remaining from the original 48. They'd lost 21 fighters to a single bomber, to a single gun position. The loss rate was catastrophic, unsustainable. But they had one advantage now. The tail position was neutralized. They attacked from directly astern, 6 o'clock low, the one vector Donovan's empty guns couldn't cover. They came in tight formation, slow, methodical, no wasted shots. This was execution. Donovan watched them approach. 400 yards, 300, 200. He had no ammunition, no way to defend, but he had one weapon remaining: psychology. He traversed his guns to track the lead fighter, followed it precisely, maintained perfect targeting discipline as if his weapons were loaded, as if he could fire at any moment. The lead German pilot saw the twin 50s tracking him, saw the barrels aligned perfectly with his cockpit. He broke formation with an immediate hard right turn. Pure instinct overriding knowledge. The guns might be empty, but the threat reaction was hardwired. When someone aims at you, you evade. The rest of the formation followed their leader, broke attack pattern. Not because Donovan could shoot them, but because they believed he could. The psychological impact of his previous kills created a phantom threat. Empty guns became as effective as loaded ones through reputation alone. They're breaking off. The ball turret gunner's voice cracked with relief. And they were. The German formation scattered, didn't regroup for another attempt. They'd lost 21 aircraft to this single bomber. The cost was too high. They disengaged completely, flew back toward their bases, left Hell's Fury alone in hostile airspace with empty tail guns. Hell's Fury landed at Framlingham at 1,647 hours, 9 hours after takeoff. Donovan climbed out of his tail position with steady hands. No shakes, no visible stress. The ground crew swarmed the aircraft counting damage. 47 bullet holes, 13 cannon strikes, destroyed hydraulic line, cracked rudder. But it flew, it survived. The crew chief, Murphy, examined the tail gun position, checked the ammunition boxes. All empty, every round expended. He found Donovan sitting on the tarmac, smoking a cigarette. "You used everything," Murphy said. 2,000 rounds. "You fired every bullet we loaded." "Had to," Donovan replied. "Didn't have enough to waste any." Whitmore asked how many he got. Murphy consulted his notes, counts from other crew members, radio intercepts from German communications, visual confirmations from escort fighters who'd finally caught up near the target. 12 confirmed kills, Murphy said. For probables, 3 damaged. In 4 minutes of sustained combat. The news spread through the bomber group before sunset. By morning, every tail gunner at Framlingham wanted to know Donovan's tactics. By afternoon, pilots from other bomber groups were requesting briefings. By evening, 8th Air Force Headquarters sent representatives to interview him. Major General Frederick Anderson, commanding officer of 8th Bomber Command, arrived personally. He found Donovan in the enlisted men's barracks cleaning his guns, standard maintenance, nothing special. Anderson introduced himself. Donovan stood at attention. "At ease, Sergeant," Anderson said. "I'm here to understand what you did yesterday." Donovan explained his philosophy: aggressive fire, psychological intimidation, attacking during the enemy's formation phase, exploiting the moment of vulnerability before coordination solidified. Anderson listened without interruption. When Donovan finished, the general asked one question. "Can you teach this?" "Not to everyone," Donovan said. "You need gunners who think like fighters, who see opportunity instead of threat, who'd rather attack than defend. Find them," Anderson ordered. "I'm authorizing a special training program. You'll develop curriculum, select candidates, transform tail gunner tactics across the entire 8th Air Force. Your crew doesn't need you anymore," Anderson said bluntly. "They're alive because of what you did. Other crews are dying because their gunners don't know what you know. Which is more important, 9 men or 9,000? Donovan accepted the assignment. He spent the next month developing what became known as the Donovan Doctrine. The core principles were revolutionary but simple. First, seize initiative. Don't wait for fighters to attack. Engage during their formation phase. Force them to respond to your actions. Second, psychological warfare. Your first burst doesn't need to destroy the target. It needs to intimidate the formation, make them cautious and hesitant. Third, focus fire. When outnumbered, don't divide attention. Concentrate all firepower on the most dangerous sector. Fourth, ammunition economy through aggression. 30 rounds forcing 12 fighters to scatter is more efficient than 300 rounds engaging scattered targets. Fifth, accept risk. Tail gunner casualty rates were high under defensive doctrine. Aggressive tactics increased exposure but decreased mission losses. Individual risk versus collective survival. The mission mattered more than the man. The Donovan Doctrine faced immediate resistance. Traditional gunners called it reckless. Command officers worried about ammunition waste. Conservative tactics instructors labeled it suicide. But the statistics didn't lie. In March 1944, before Donovan's tactics spread, tail gunner casualty rates in the 8th Air Force averaged 38%. By June 1944, after widespread adoption of aggressive fire doctrine, the rate dropped to 23%. Same missions, same enemy, different tactics, 15% reduction in casualties. But casualty reduction wasn't the only metric. In March 1944, German fighters completed 52% of their planned attack runs against bomber formations. By June, completion rate dropped to 27%. Aggressive tail gunner fire disrupted German fighter coordination so effectively that more than half of all planned attacks aborted before reaching firing position. The psychological impact extended beyond individual missions. German fighter pilots began avoiding bombers known to employ aggressive gunners. Donovan trained 300 tail gunners between March and August 1944. Each received 2 weeks of intensive instruction, live fire exercises, simulated fighter attacks, psychological conditioning. The program emphasized mental preparation as much as technical skill. Donovan's favorite saying became doctrine. Fear happens when you react. Confidence happens when you act first. Not every candidate succeeded. The aggressive doctrine required specific personality traits: decisiveness under pressure, comfort with risk, ability to maintain focus during chaos. Roughly 30% of candidates washed out. Those who succeeded became legends. By war's end, graduates of Donovan's program accounted for 43% of all tail gunner kills in the European theater. One graduate, Sergeant Thomas Bailey, destroyed 16 fighters in his first 4 missions. Another, Sergeant Robert Chun, survived 27 missions without taking serious damage to his gun position. The aggressive doctrine didn't just increase kills, it increased survival rates through deterrence. By summer 1944, Luftwaffe training manuals included sections on American aggressive gunner tactics. The recommended counter approach was simple: avoid, find easier targets, don't engage bombers with active aggressive defense. The psychological battle had reversed. Now German fighters feared American gunners instead of the reverse. Donovan's personal combat career ended with that March 6th mission. He never flew another combat sortie, spent the rest of the war training others. But his influence extended far beyond his 12 confirmed kills. Conservative estimates credit the Donovan Doctrine with saving 300 American bombers and 3,000 aircrew. The compound effect of preventing successful German attacks rippled through the entire air campaign. German records captured after the war revealed the enemy perspective. One Luftwaffe report from June 1944 stated American tail gunners have adopted new tactics. They engage formations during approach phase with sustained fire. Effect is psychological disruption of attack coordination. Recommendation: avoid direct stern approaches. Donovan returned to Boston after the war, worked construction, never talked about what he'd done. When journalists tracked him down in the 1960s, he declined interviews. "I did what needed doing," he said. So did 300 other gunners. They're the real story. One of those gunners, Bailey, disagreed. In a 1972 interview, he explained Donovan's impact. "Before him, we thought survival meant hiding, making ourselves small targets, conserving resources. Mike taught us survival means making the enemy scared to attack you." Sounds simple, changes everything. Donovan died in 1998 at age 76. His obituary mentioned his Distinguished Service Cross, his 16 years working construction, his wife Margaret, and 3 children. One paragraph mentioned his war service, tail gunner in the 8th Air Force who developed new tactics. That paragraph didn't mention 12 kills in 4 minutes. Didn't mention 300 gunners trained. Didn't mention 3,000 lives saved. His funeral drew 17 people. Family mostly, 2 war buddies, no military honor guard, number 21 gun salute. Just a quiet service at St. Augustine Cemetery. But the other tail gunners knew. Every veteran of aggressive gunner training knew. They gathered informally the night before at a bar in South Boston, raised glasses, told stories, remembered the man who taught them to shoot first. Bailey, now 74, gave the toast. Mike Donovan never thought he was special, just a guy doing his job. But his job saved 3,000 of us. Every bomber that made it home because German fighters broke off their attack. Every gunner who survived his tour because he learned to be aggressive instead of defensive. Every mission that succeeded because the enemy was too scared to engage. That's Mike's legacy. Not 12 kills, 12,000 lives. March 6, 1944 lasted 4 minutes. 1 tail gunner, 12 enemy fighters, the moment when defense became offense, when reaction became action. Michael Donovan fired 2,000 rounds, destroyed 12 aircraft, saved 3,000 lives, changed warfare forever. Not because he was special, but because he refused to wait for death to come find him. He went hunting first,